Chronic migraine is 15 or more headache days a month, each lasting 4 hours or more.
Botox, onabotulinum toxin A, prevents headaches in adults with chronic migraine. It's not for adults with migraine with 14 or fewer headache days a month. It prevents, on average, 8 to 9 headache days a month versus 6 to 7 for placebo.
Prescription Botox is injected by your doctor. Effects of Botox may spread hours to weeks after injection, causing serious symptoms. Alert your doctor right away, as difficulty swallowing, speaking, breathing, eye problems, or muscle weakness can be signs of a life-threatening condition. Patients with these conditions before injection are at highest risk. Side effects may include allergic reactions, neck and injection site pain, fatigue, and headache. Allergic reactions can include rash, welts, asthma symptoms, and dizziness. Don't receive Botox if there's a skin infection. Tell your doctor your medical history, muscle or nerve conditions, including ALS, Lou Gehrig's disease, myasthenia gravis, or Lambert-Eaton syndrome, and medications, including botulinum toxins, as these may increase the risk of serious side effects.
Ask your doctor and visit BotoxChronicMigraine.com or call 1-800-44-BOTOX to learn more.
This episode is brought to you by Honda. When you test drive the new Prologue EV, there's a lot that could impress you about it. There's the class-leading passenger space, the clean, thoughtful design, and the intuitive technology. But out of everything, what you'll really love most is that it's a Honda. Visit honda.com/EV to see offers.
And now, live from the TCL broadcast studios, it's Joe Souchere and Patrick Royce with Sports Talk.
No, it's Souchere and Brian Murphy, who 4 years ago at this very moment was standing in front of the Olympic rings in Sochi, Russia.
Yeah, basically getting a sunburn because it was about 65 degrees there every day.
Yeah, they had a big problem.
The snow was melting on the mountains. It felt like I was in Santa Monica, not some winter resort town.
Yeah,
on
but
the
now
Black
they're
Sea.
complaining in Korea because it's too cold.
Yeah, imagine that for
It's
the
the
Winter
Winter
Olympics.
Olympics.
Well, at least they're not going to have a slush problem on the hills.
Did
But
you enjoy Sochi?
I did, and the stories were fine, but it was because it was for I'd done Salt Lake City, which was like covering a business trip. This was like spring break for adults. They had all the media in one compound, and a bunch of bars.
Yeah.
And what do you think happened?
Party time.
Yeah, a little bit.
I don't know what the arrangements are like in Pyeongchang,
Would not want to be there.
if I'm
Absolutely
saying that correctly.
not. Pyeongchang.
Pyeongchang. And
15 time zones away. I don't know who's going to read what or watch what.
Well, and so help me understand this. Now, NBC is going full throttle tonight, prime time. I suppose we'll see opening ceremonies and what have you. All of that's long since been completed.
Yeah, tape delayed.
All right. So,
in the age of Twitter.
right. And were there any events today?
I think there's been a little bit of like bobsledding. There's been some stuff ahead of the opening ceremony, but no medals handed out that I know of. Right?
Again, Reavers likes to watch that two-man luge, but can't get enough of that.
I'm more of a skeleton man.
Oh, okay. Got it.
I like to be on my belly.
When I watch the skeleton, too, all I can think of is, what if they hit the slightest bump? They're going to
your head's gonna
spiral
roll.
out of control.
Their chin is like 3 inches from the ice.
Man.
What about the guy who launched himself off his roof in Wilmer the other day?
Oh, yeah.
He made the homemade...
You got the rocket sled.
Got the rocket sled, and he went straight off his roof
He
and
didn't
straight
get
down.
much up, as
He
we
didn't
say.
get any up. He went down.
Did he survive?
Yeah, he survived, but we don't know who he is.
Little
Everybody
bruised
in
ego.
town must know who he is.
Remember, too, his quote was to whether it was the paramedics or the police, I hurt real bad.
I hurt real bad. He was moaning and crawling around the yard. He was scuttling himself around on his rocket sled with his feet because he probably, poor bastard, probably broke his back. I don't know. He's alive.
Yeah,
he
he
thought
made
a can of heat would ignite him into space or something. I
He
don't know
sounds
what
like he's
thought.
got his own chair in Darwin's waiting room.
I think he might have. So you're a Super Bowl survivor.
Yes. It was finally, after 20 years in this business, I got to cover the event, right?
Yeah.
I could do without it.
Yeah.
How many did
letdown?
you do? No, it's just a logistic. It's the NFL. It's logistical. It's military maneuvered. It's security. I get it. I know why. It's like crawling through glass to do things sometimes. And you're all, you're not breaking news. There was no news. There was no controversy. No Joe Namath moment.
No.
Nobody getting arrested the night before the game. There was nothing juicy to write about.
Nope.
It's Belichick and Brady, and everybody's got their snout in the same trough of bland quotes, and I'm not coming. Hey, look, I could have been fixing water mains last week. I get that, but it didn't live up to the hype that I thought it would when I thought about doing that 20 years ago.
Well, the people responsible for it pulled it off, though, didn't they?
Oh, it went well. And anybody I talked to from out of town, they thought it was great.
Yeah.
I mean, they all had that snide remark about the weather, but I'm kind of glad that happened. I mean, it would have been, if it would have been 45 here and sunny and slushy, you didn't get the true Bold North experience, as they say.
I went to Holman Field twice on Sunday just to look at America's wealth.
Oh, I can imagine.
It was just gorgeous. Looked like a field of sailboats. Private jets lined up as far as the eye could see.
And didn't they have problems? Flying Cloud and MSP, they were all backed up. They had to take out a new runway to
They
park
had
them.
to go to Flying Cloud. They also some of the other airports out there the smaller ones were completely full. They had, those people were flying in, and I feel bad for the guys that had to maybe drive in from Flying Cloud after flying in.
I don't.
Be right downtown.
Say, Murph, here's what I've been wondering. This is the definitive example of mission creep in America, the Super Bowl. What is Atlanta going to have to do? Serious question. They got to top this. They got to top zip lines, and they got to top free concerts on the mall, and they got to top. What are they going to do?
Well, it started here 26 years ago, because that's when the taste of the NFL began.
Oh, yeah?
It's when they had the carnival, that sort of, they used the convention center for that NFL experience.
Yep.
So blame Minneapolis and Super Bowl 26 for starting the off-site sort of, let's cater to the fan. But look, I took the kids to Nicollet Mall. It was fun. It was nice. But the NFL experience, $35 for adults, $25 for kids to get into the convention center.
Well, that's the thing you were at, Reeves, right?
Yeah, we took the boys the first Saturday that it was open.
And did you open the wallet?
I got a couple of free ones
There you go.
from here, but I did have to pay for the boys to get in. So it was $50
for two kids
for the boys, yeah. But if you have if you had if I forget how old your kids are, Murph, but if you had like
8 and 7.
Okay, so if you had a 12-year-old diehard, I get that a lot of it, but the other issue, or not really issue, but you did have to wait in line a decent amount of. It was almost like you're at Valley Fair waiting for a ride. You did have to wait in line for a few things, but then we did
throw a football through a hoop.
Yeah,
stuff
things like that. And the one cool thing that they did was they had
Don't demean it like
a
that.
flag.
This is the NFL. Come
They
on.
had a flag football field in the lower part where they had a bunch of games going on. That was pretty cool because it involved hundreds of kids at one time. So that was okay. But yeah, it was basically you go in, you look around, and then you buy stuff if you want it.
I did actually get my hands in the NFL's pockets just a little bit. I'm going to confess here to, I guess it might be a crime, but it's a week later, so statute of limitations.
Yeah, it's done.
During the NBC sports press conference, they had footballs all over the round tables on tees, and toward the end, as I was walking out the door, I just kind of palmed one and brought it home for the young lad.
Yeah.
The official Super Bowl 52 ball with the logo on there. Commissioner Goodell's signature. Regular size. The ball they use in the game.
I'll be damned.
And it was a little squishy, so I'm guessing Brady might have been in there earlier.
Yeah, we didn't check the PSI.
Well, if it's like the guy from Philly that stole the chair, they'll probably just bill you and not press any charges.
Yeah, well, he I at least tried to hide it. Of course, I've just confessed it now, but he was bragging about it.
Well, how many of those things do you think were taken? I bet all of them.
Maybe. I didn't see all of them.
Was it a football that you could actually use in a game?
Oh, absolutely.
It was not a cheap.
No,
decorative.
not a replica, not a Nerf. It was the actual ball.
Well, you don't give that to the kids. That's an autographed baseball by Babe Ruth. You put that on the mantle.
No, I don't need that stuff. I give it to the 7-year-old. It means more to him. I got one ball that means anything to me. It's the 1984 World Series champion Detroit Tigers. They all signed it. That's all I need.
There you go.
Really? That's
his squad.
You're from Detroit.
Yeah, I was 12 years old when they won it. That's right in the wheelhouse.
Don't bring up 87. Murph doesn't like that story.
We've been down that road.
Did you see in Charlie Walters' column sometime last week, I forget what day it was, but Kraft was over in Russia. Was it Kraft, I think?
Well, he's the owner of the Patriots.
Yeah, and he met Vladimir Putin. And Vladimir said, "Hey, let me see your ring."
It was Kraft.
And he showed him the ring. He took it off. Putin took it, put it in his pocket, and walked away.
That was a while ago, though, wasn't it?
Yeah, that
That's
was
an
a
old
couple years
story.
ago.
Yeah, it is. But I'm just
Did
was
Kraft
revisited.
ever get it back?
He did not, but he did call Jostens, and they keep a mold, and so they got him.
They
a new one.
reissued.
I'm surprised that wasn't the start of World War III.
It could have been.
You know, American robbed of his ring by Pootie Poo.
Not only that, the owner of the Patriots.
The Patriots.
Oh, maybe that's why he was trying to push the envelope.
Putin must have thought that he was being given a gift.
Well, if you take it off somebody's finger,
I don't know, man. Yeah, it's somebody's own jewelry.
Yeah.
well, something been
But
lost.
he was the head of the KGB. I'm sure he's used to taking things from people.
If you would have done that to me, I would have said, "Shta takoya?" What's going on?
Yet.
What are you doing? What's going on here?
Well, you know what? It takes all kinds to run the world, doesn't it?
Yeah, it really does. Especially guys that are on horses
just a
without their
moment.
shirts on.
Murph was just asking me if we covered the gal who had the emotional support hamster, the rat, and I said yes, we did.
Darn it! I was going to get into that.
Yeah.
Break it down.
Yeah.
That is that's a no-go zone.
Yeah.
I don't have it right now.
Oh,
I didn't know you were going to come back with it.
I said we missed a great opportunity to play John Candy saying, here's a quarter, go downtown.
Whoa. I thought John Candy was off limits on this show.
You can play drops. He just can't reference the movie.
I think that's
No,
permission,
that's not
Rook.
permission.
That's the green
That
light.
is not permission.
This quarter.
you can't.
Go downtown and have a rat gnaw that thing off your face.
Yeah, there you are.
Yeah, but we can't say what movie that was.
Right.
Right.
We can.
We can.
He can't.
That was Uncle Buck.
I'll give you one clue. One of the stars in it was John Candy. More of a visual, isn't it?
Oh, God.
That was a visual.
My fault. It's my fault.
Yeah.
But I wondered if Spirit Airlines charged her a flushing fee.
She didn't flush
I'm
it at the
sure,
airport.
yeah.
Oh,
She flushed it elsewhere. And a guy
Oh, she
called and
did.
said, you know what? The thing probably lived. It ain't that long. You're in the water.
Well, then it was probably a you flushed it elsewhere fee.
yeah. If you flush it here, it's 75. You flush it elsewhere, it's 25.
Right.
Say the Wild begin a 5-game homestand tonight, hosting your Coyotes.
They do nothing for me at this point. They just
Well-
got a defenseman too. They made a trade earlier today for some Russian guy from
we need
New
to know
Jersey.
that. We need to know the name.
I know. I'm looking for it. I just saw the
Because
release.
Brodin is hurt, right?
Brodin broke his hand, so let me get. I already deleted it, but it's on here somewhere. But
And
anyway.
Reavers
They
informed
traded
us.
Mario Lucia.
Yeah,
I did
the
not know
local
that.
boy.
Christoph Bertschi.
Kami?
No, Louvre.
Oh, Victor Louvre is the
Victor
player we
Louvre.
got.
Yeah.
When are they predicting Brodin will be back?
4 to
not,
6.
Not till March.
Please. He's Brodin. He'll be back next week.
What are you talking about? He's Swedish.
And Reavers told us that the Cleveland Cavaliers traded away half their club today.
Right after they daggered the Wolves.
Yeah. Well, it was quite a defensive spectacle, wasn't it?
140 to 138.
They
Well, it
set
did
an
go to
NBA
overtime.
record for 3-pointers.
Went to overtime. There's no the game is not in the paint anymore. It's all behind the arc. It's
Yeah.
all rainbows now.
Well, the Timberwolves set a franchise record for 3-pointers. What, 19 of them?
And they don't normally do that. They don't. I mean, they're in the bottom part of the league in 3-pointers, but they tried to.
I thought the game was kind of fun, but I
was
only
entertaining.
I limit myself to the final 3 minutes. Then I got stuck with an overtime, but that was all right.
But you invested.
I did. They're
I
fun
got
to watch.
stuck with it overtime.
Yeah. I got
What
stuck
an
with an overtime.
inconvenience, huh?
I wanted to be. It was getting near cookie time, man. I got
I got books to read.
I got books to read.
There was a time when I would have mocked you for that, Joe, but
Yeah.
I'm right
And
there.
it was in
next to you.
Cleveland. It started at 6, didn't it? It wasn't even that late.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
no,
late enough.
no. It started at 7.
Because it was an ESPN.
Oh, okay.
And then I had a brief tirade about why Cleveland has the land on their jerseys. I'd go with land, but not the land.
You know, speaking of that, did you note that the game time tomorrow is 8:30 in Chicago?
Central. They got doubleheader in Friday night, don't they? ESPN doubleheader.
Okay. That's why.
Well,
Would it shock you
ESPN
to know that TV has something to do with it?
ESPN had the game last night along with FS1. And so ESPN was determining the length of timeouts and what have you.
Right.
So that game took longer than it might have. And as I say, I got stuck with an overtime, and it was really cutting it close to get upstairs for the news.
Which, he's
you make
letting you
her
in.
in time?
He's letting you in.
I made
by the
it.
way.
I made it. I made it, but she was cutting close. And it's not cookies anymore. I had to go up and have my grapes. I
Oh,
had to have
you've gone
grapes.
health? You're a health nut now.
Yeah, I'm
huh?
a health freak. I had grapes instead of those Chips Ahoy.
You used to do cookies and milk before bed?
Yeah, but you know what, Murph? I'm moved on. I eat grapes now.
You're such a hippie.
White grapes?
No, dark grapes.
Seedless? You go seedless?
I like a seedless grape.
Yeah,
That's so funny because I
Let's break it down, shall we?
poured my wife a nice large glass of red grapes last night. Yeah, she's onto the grape deal too.
Then you went
mulled wine or sangria?
Out of the box?
A red blend. No, red blend. It's not too high. We're not.
Your wife carries her own box around, doesn't she? With her that
she does.
that cardboard box with the spigot on it.
Yeah,
Like our friend from Iowa, she takes the bladder of wine out of the box, puts it in her purse, and then goes out shopping.
Why is that young lady kissing her purse?
a movie.
Yeah.
Well, in any event, I can't get you enthused apparently about ice hockey. How about Olympic ice hockey?
No, it's the NHL guys aren't in it again for the first time in 22, 24 years or something like that. And I know everybody says, well, it's back it's just like 1980 again. It's not. I give them credit. They're nobody's from nowhere and nobody's going to tune in.
Are the other countries abiding by that rule? Is that going to be the same or are they going to
It's all amateurs.
Okay, it is.
I looked at photos. Only the Daily Mail would do this. It was great. And this is what they do best. I looked at photos of the games, the 1920, Chamonix, France, maybe. And it was really fun to look at the pictures of the skaters. The bobsled looked exactly like what Rocket Man tried to build in Wilmer when he went off his roof. It was they were rickety,
very
and
sketchy,
primitive, and the hockey players had primitive gear, and the figure skaters wore long flowing clothes.
Yeah.
And it was just
They
wonderful.
had the Amish dresses on.
Yeah, prairie dresses, right?
It's like going to the beach with a full dress on.
Very Victorian.
Yeah, it was nifty though, and everything was outside. Everything.
Oh, I suppose.
Yeah, there was no indoor arenas
Right.
or. Why hasn't it ever gone back to Squaw Valley?
Or Lake Placid either.
Or Lake Placid.
That's a great question because corporate. They don't have the big enough footprint there to put all the tents and all that.
Maybe that's it.
It's exactly what it's the Super Bowl on steroids, or like the U.S. You've been to golf tournaments, you know where those corporate tents and all that.
I have.
They need that footprint now to do this stuff.
Yeah, I was so thrilled in 2008. I went to the Concours d'Elegance boat show on Lake Tahoe. I had to get that off my list.
Oh, what a perfect spot.
Yeah, well, it's there every year.
Yeah.
It's the boat show of North America every summer. In any event, driving there, I got to see Squaw Valley, and I was thrilled because as a kid, I remember watching the hockey team, and they had a covered rink but open sides.
Yeah,
So-
and sometimes the sun would come out and melt the other side.
Yeah, so as recently as 1960, which unfortunately doesn't seem that long ago to me, the hockey was outside. I bet by 1964, which would have been the next Winter Games, look up the 64 Winter Games for me, Reeves.
On it, brah.
I bet the games were indoors then. I bet by 64, everything was indoors.
Well, in Lake Placid in 1980, I mean, everybody remembers
that was indoors.
It was indoors hockey, but the speed skating where
That was
Eric
outdoors.
Heiden won all those golds, that was outdoors.
That was in an oval in front of the Lake Placid High School.
You
outside.
were in Austria in 1964.
Innsbruck?
Yeah.
I bet the hockey was not. See if the hockey was played indoors.
I'm trying to find it here.
You got to drill deeper than Wiki.
Yeah.
The 1960 games, of course, was the infamous, Herb Brooks
Didn't make the team.
Didn't make the team, and the old man said after they won the gold medal, watching on TV, looks like they cut the right guy.
Rook, you're not giving me anything for Austria?
A little harsh, isn't it?
Wow.
You didn't hear that anecdote before?
No, that hurts my feelings.
Oh, that always drove Brooks. That was like
no
his
wonder he was
fuel.
so salty his whole life.
The hockey was played at the Olympia Innsbruck.
Yeah. I'm betting you that was an indoor building.
It looks like it was.
Yeah.
The Soviet Union won your gold.
Herb Brooks could teach even the most advanced cursor a thing or two.
Oh, yeah.
That man.
Well, there's a hockey player.
He flat out knew how to swear.
Sports Talk will return.
Well, then, good day, mate. Let's put another shrimp on the barbie.
No, these were in Austria.
Not Australia?
No, Austria.
Okay.
Sports Talk will be back in just a moment, but
The mics were off there, weren't they?
Well, I hope so. I really hope so.
Why, were you picking up on all that?
You guys were having your own.
Yeah, we had our own little.
Oh, God, I hope they were off.
Yeah, they better have been.
We had one going here.
We had.
Here's John
I think
Height,
ours
who
topped
was
yours.
mysteriously enough back in the room.
Well, thank you, Joe. I like this schedule. I think we should make this permanent.
I'm confused. Today I'm confused about
John
this.
is- Ruck, I'm
John
confused.
is
Not here.
He's doing me a huge favor today. He came in on his day off to relieve me.
Boy, the way you treat him, I wouldn't do you a favor.
Right. I hope he likes every story, John.
I can't disagree with that, but he knows that I love him.
Yeah,
I
something
really
like
do.
that.
But today, Rook's right. These
In
better
fact,
be...
he was just talking about John sitting on his lap during the break.
It's sunny out there.
You weren't here for the camping, were you?
No, not at all.
None of us were apparently.
16 degrees outside. Wild in action tonight. Arizona Coyotes in town as the Wild kick off a 5-game homestand. The Cavaliers, I think you guys talked about this a bit, traded a large portion of their team today after that win last night over the Wolves. Among the fellows traded, Isaiah Thomas, he's going to the Lakers. They also dealt Derrick Rose to Utah, and Utah expected to release him. And, of course, this brings up speculation that Derrick Rose could end up here with the Timberwolves.
No, thank you.
That comes from Mark Stein of the New York Times. Stein citing NBA sources in his report. He tweeted that Rose has interest in reuniting with a coach Thibodeau, who coached him for 4 seasons in Chicago. The 29-year-old Rose has battled injuries since that time, played in only 16 games for the Cavs this season after spending last season with the Knicks. The Wolves expressed interest in acquiring Rose from the Knicks last season, but the two teams couldn't reach an agreement.
He's got the knees of an 80-year-old.
Right.
Mm-hmm. News notes from today.
What does he make roughly? What is he still?
I believe he made whatever the league minimum is because I think he was still under his big contract and then was released from it.
News notes from today. The influenza virus continues to spread across the country with hospitalization rates surpassing those in recent years. And now there are concerns about a shortage of Tamiflu, the antiviral medicine used to lessen the effects of the illness. Here in Minnesota, most of the cases are in the Twin Cities metro, which is expected just because of the population. Nationwide, more than 50 children have already died this season from the flu. Chris Arisman is an infectious disease expert with the Department of Health here in Minnesota, monitoring the influenza activity. Arisman said it's important for people to keep in mind it's not just the frail elderly that are getting sick. We're seeing serious illnesses across the age spectrum. Experts have said this year's flu vaccine isn't a great match for the strains currently out there, but they still recommend getting it if you haven't already.
Such, have you had the flu yet this year?
I have not, Kenny.
You will, and when you do, you'll be praying to Jesus to take you home.
I had the flu shot.
Yeah, that doesn't always...
Well, you haven't had it yet, have you?
Over Christmas, baby.
Did you?
Let me tell you, I was praying for death.
Really?
Yeah.
Well,
I don't think that's the thing you should mess with karma and pray
Keep a
for.
bucket close by, even if you
I'm not going to get it, Kenny,
even if
okay?
you walk to the other room, take the bucket
I wash
with
my
you.
hands. I'm wearing out my skin.
From the Star Tribune, the shuttered McNally Smith College of Music has filed for federal bankruptcy today, 2 months after abruptly closing without giving faculty and staff their final checks. It was a 112-page filing signed by Chairman of the Board John McNally. More than 100 pages of the 112 are used to list the names of creditors. In the filing, the school had to check boxes broadly describing their situation. They checked the box indicating they had assets between $10 million and $50 million. The college estimated liabilities between $1 million and $10 million.
Is this like The Price is Right?
Yeah, apparently.
Right. That window that just keeps...
So they had more assets than liabilities.
That's what it sounds like.
But yet
yes.
they still they weren't able to give out the final paycheck.
That's correct.
Interesting.
Filing indicates the college anticipates being able to pay their creditors. Number of creditors estimated, because again, we have the big broad box, between 200 and 999 creditors. Until its closing in December, the school had taught undergraduates and graduates in all areas of the music industry for 32 years. With the closing, more than 300 students were left scrambling to find ways to finish up their education. Staff were left without final paychecks right before the holidays.
And what do they blame the shutdown on, John? Just lack of students?
They said declining enrollment and just financial troubles that had always been there, combined with the declining enrollment.
Okay.
Former President George W. Bush said today there's plenty of clear evidence the Russians meddled in the 2016 American presidential election. While never mentioning President Trump by name, Bush appeared to be pushing back on Trump's attempts to have warmer relations with Russia, as well as his comments on immigration. U.S. intelligence agencies have concluded Russia meddled in the election to help Trump win. Numerous investigations are underway to determine whether Trump's campaign aided the Kremlin in its efforts. Trump, of course, has repeatedly denied any collusion with Russia. Speaking of Russian President Vladimir Putin, Bush called him zero-sum. Bush said he's got a chip on his shoulder. The reason he does is because of the demise of the Soviet Union troubling him. Therefore, much of his moves are to regain Soviet power. Bush also stressed the need to back NATO and other alliances the U.S. has with the world.
He's just like a guy we should just say, niet. You know, kind of like in tennis, there's a net that you play with, and the ball does not cross the line. Mm-hmm. He kind of crossed the line with his meddling. It's like Scooby-Doo of the Russians, you know. And Hillary says, we would have got away with this election, but if it wouldn't have been for those meddling Russians. You remember Scooby-Doo was always the meddling kids?
Did you get along with him during your presidency?
Yeah, I sure did. We rode some horses.
Yeah.
I left my shirt on, but he'd come down to Crawford.
I thought he meant Scooby-Doo, sir.
No, he'd come down to Crawford, and we would remove brush. You know, and he was good. He'd take his shirt off, and he would take brush and throw it.
Was he good with a chainsaw?
I don't think he could work a chainsaw. He had somebody do it for him.
I see.
But he liked to lube it.
Oh.
He wasn't good with cutting.
Excuse me?
But he was very good with lubing the chainsaw.
Normally, all due respect,
yes,
Mr. President.
Yes, sir. All respect is granted.
We call that oiling. That's what we call it. Oiling.
Is that? Well, I rubbed some oil on his back, but he was sunburned. So I had to help oil him, but I didn't. We didn't lube him. No, we didn't lube together.
No.
We had separate chainsaws ripping through it all.
Didn't you look into his soul and his heart? See a man beat?
I don't think he had a Kia. He had a Russian car. He was. They brought a Russian. They brought their own vehicle.
I'm not sure, sir. You were being asked about his car.
No, it was not a Kia. With 4 hamsters in it. Remember the campaign? They had 4 hamsters rocking out like cash cab. I know I'm all over the map today.
You really are.
Yes, but you remember that? Remember it was that commercial there.
I do.
There's 4 hamsters in there. It's rainbow lights and.
Yeah.
But that was not a Russian car, Murph. It was Kia.
Well then. Thank you, sir.
Wow.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. The next time you talk, it has to be in a different voice.
Now, wait, he hasn't finished yet, but we went from whatever the story started out with. I don't know what the hell
the question was.
To Scooby-Doo made an appearance to clearing brush.
We went
like to clear brush.
It was Niet, tennis net.
That's right.
Scooby-Doo.
Yeah.
The key was in there somewhere.
You're a complex fellow, Mr. President.
You know what that is?
A strategery.
Yeah, that is strategery.
Took a lot of guardrail with that
can't
story.
Be equal there. You know?
That's a good
I would just say
Murph.
that Putin might be an
evildoer.
Yeah, evildoer. Doing of evil. Right?
Yeah. Those evildoers.
Yes.
The
Sounds
axis
like
of
me.
evil.
That sounds just like me. Roger.
Yes, sir. Roger.
Thank you, sir.
Roger.
Thank you, sir. Mr. President, you've said that you...
Yes, that was Roger.
Roger Mudd?
Yes.
Veteran.
I hear there's rumors on the internets.
Well, we waited a long time for that one, didn't we?
Is that what you were looking for, Joe?
Couldn't find the buttons. Yeah. You know? Buttons was a hamster we had back in Crawford. I remember the girls named it Buttons because it looked like it had a little button on its nose.
Remember when he said this?
Human being and fish can coexist peacefully.
They can, but one's got to be out of water. I don't know if you knew that.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. Time to do news because Kenny's going to be happy about John's newscast.
A veteran character.
Which is not really a cast.
Very interesting that when the heat got on, you dug yourself a hole.
What is a cast anyway? A newscast? Plaster?
No. Yeah. You know what, John? Take a break.
Okay.
Just hit the button,
Is
Rook.
it that time already?
Yeah.
Wait, where's Rook?
He's here.
Is he? Okay, let's find him right here. Okay. I want to go right over here with this one. Yep. Rook, hit the button. Not buttons, but the button.
Boy, that's quite the what if, Kenny.
I just had a great question for Such.
we gotta go right
Can we
now.
go back to break? Because I really want to ask Joe this question
I
off
don't
the air.
think he'd be worried about one thing if he had to do that, and I know what it would be.
I didn't realize the former president got so vulgar during commercial breaks.
Oh, he left.
Before we get to the other stuff, an actor died who always fascinated me. This fellow's name is Mickey Jones. You'd know him right away if you saw him. Veteran character actor. He was on Justified. He was Pete on Home Improvement, construction worker. He was 76 years old. The reason he always fascinated me, he was on tons of TV shows and movies, but I saw an interview with him about 10 years ago. In real life, he started his career as a musician. He was the drummer at various times for Bob Dylan,
really,
Trudy Lopez, Johnny Rivers, and he played drums with Kenny Rogers when Kenny Rogers had the first edition.
He was on Home Improvement, the TV show.
I just said
Did you? I was looking him up. I'm
mentioned,
sorry.
I believe.
I'm sorry. I recognize the face.
He was
That's
Pete.
That's
on
2
Home
coin tosses in one day.
Yeah.
He's got that sidekick in a Western type of vibe going. Like he should be riding along on a donkey 10 feet.
Always with a beard? Did he always have a beard?
Always,
The wispy red beard.
Yeah, he had the whole cowboy thing going.
What was his name, Joe?
He always played a heavy, too, in a lot of shows.
What was
Pardon
his
me?
name?
His name was Mickey Jones.
Mickey Jones, Mickey Mantle, and Mickey Way.
They take that, won't they?
Mickey Way.
Name 3 Mickeys.
From the police blotter, I don't usually do this, but I enjoyed this one. Mayfield Heights, Ohio. Officers responded to True North Shell around 8 a.m. on February 2nd for a report of a customer who had threatened an employee and was using her phone to take pictures of her. They learned the threats were made after the customer became upset when the employee could not confirm if the store's hot dogs had pork in them. Mayfield Heights woman was arrested for menacing.
That's a customer right.
Start over.
Okay, it was a shell where they serve food. Okay, so
Shell?
Gas station.
Okay, good enough. Yes, we'll go with that. A place where you'd buy a hot dog.
Couple roller dogs.
This woman got very angry because the woman couldn't tell her if hot dogs had pork in them. That's all. That was the whole story. Now I'm kind of sorry I brought it
What
in.
about the pictures and the phone? And
She was taking pictures of her because she felt threatened.
Was it Britt McHenry? Remember Britt McHenry?
Yeah.
You know, she went after the parking attendant.
Oh, I thought she bought hot dogs.
This was a Shell station. Didn't they have
Joe,
they had
Joe.
pizza there too, right, Joe?
Joe, I'm gonna steal this.
We're
bit from you,
digging.
okay?
We're digging.
Okay, wait. So
Who's got that?
So Britt
Rip that one
McHenry
up.
and this gal walked into a Shell station.
Rip that up into little pieces.
And a midget.
That's right.
There. All right. There. That one's done.
Little person.
Throw it away.
I got in trouble.
So that guy was on Home Improvement, huh?
Behind the fence? Was that the guy, the neighbor?
No, that was Wilson.
It was Pete, the construction worker. A Kansas couple who...
You okay, Suchi boy?
Hey, Joe, you know that beautiful TCL TV
And to think the
broadcasting
market's down more than 1,000 points today, I'll be working till I'm 90.
How much money can you squeeze under a king mattress these days?
Do what Murph, that's what I just did. I took a whole bunch out. Screw it. I'm putting it in the ground.
Well, you're the problem.
I'm putting it in the ground.
It's fear.
Yep.
A Kansas couple who didn't have time to claim their $100,000 lottery prize said they hid the winning ticket in their freezer for a month.
The moolah's in the coolah.
Everybody does that, though.
Really?
No, only indicted congressmen do that.
Tim Hyatt said he stopped at a Belleville store in November, decided to buy a Kansas Lotto ticket. He said he took his ticket to a liquor store to check it after the drawing. Hyatt said, when I checked the ticket myself, I received a message I'd never seen. It told me I was a winner, so I took it to the store to find out. I was surprised when the store told me I indeed was a winner. The Hyatts said they realized there was one problem with their prize. They didn't have time to travel to Topeka, where the headquarters is, to claim their money.
How much?
$100,000.
Yeah, you think you'd make time for that.
Right.
Tim Hyatt said it was kind of scary having a big winning ticket like that lying around, so we decided to just put it in our freezer in case someone broke in the house.
Oh, my God.
The ticket remained on ice for more than a month.
No.
Till they collected their
Well, I
winnings.
don't know, Ma. We got things to do. We can't drive the Topeka.
Fellas, he's got a furrowed brow now. You're really pushing it with the mayor.
This one might help. Let's see. I had this one yesterday. Didn't get to it. This probably.
Well, I mean, if you didn't get to it, it had to be pretty low. On your
No,
list.
this is pretty good. It's a pretty good one. Now, here's why I didn't get to it. It's not really made for radio.
Yeah, but none of the stuff you've had so far is.
Maybe I should have just stayed home.
John, I have faith
You
in
haven't
you.
done anybody any favors.
You know what? I'm glad you're here, John. Read that story.
Thank you,
I will
Kenny.
listen
Thank you.
closely.
Me too, because I really don't want you to leave.
A simple sketch of a suspected thief in Pennsylvania, drawn by a witness to the crime,
I've seen this. That simple sketch is awesome.
has been mercilessly mocked on social media.
Really?
Ding, ding. You call that a suspect?
Oh, it looks just like him.
Users comparing the image to everything from one Facebook user's roommate to singer Jason Mraz. Lancaster Online. Here, let me show that to the mayor, will you please, Rook? That's the drawing.
That's fantastic.
You can't see that.
I can't see that.
Looks like every sketch I've ever seen.
A piece of paper.
Lancaster Online first reported on the police's posting of the sketch as the cops asked for the public's health. It's a cartoon likeness for those of you out there listening. It shows a face with dots for eyes, a little line for a nose, and squiggles for hair and a hat. That's it.
Squiggles.
And they caught the guy, huh?
No, they have not caught the guy yet. One person wrote on Facebook.
Are you sure? Because I saw a picture of the perp, and it looked just like him.
Really? No, I didn't. Unless you have an update that I didn't run across somewhere.
I can't believe you didn't get to that yesterday. That's a hell of a story.
Who knows what I was looking at? I don't know.
Boy, there's got about 7 more paragraphs. I'll just skip.
No, we don't want to.
Yeah, I'll skip those.
Guys, I know we're playing golf.
You know, down 1,000, huh, Joe?
Yeah, his name's on the wall. Yeah. This is what he's doing.
Yeah.
Just think, though, Joe, in another 26 years, when the Super Bowl comes back to town, when we build a new stadium, we'll get you right on Radio Row.
Yeah.
Wheel you right out there.
Right next to Sid.
You know what?
Break. No. Start this man right now. Okay. Yes, sir.
Here's today's sports hero, John Gooten.
Okay.
How does it feel to replace a legend like Tubby Smith? That's a question for you. And Mr. Athletic Director, you're supposed to be the biggest genius in basketball. It took you forever to get a replacement.
Is that a question, Mr. Hartman?
By the way, that was before we popped Norwood. Sid was right.
Yeah.
Mr. Genius.
They have a picture in Massachusetts. You know how government buildings, they have the historic paintings of folks.
Right.
They
Usually doing their wash or something, a mural. It's
splitting wood.
Well, this one's just a head and shoulders painting, of somebody who should be famous.
Canning apricots.
There's a problem, though. A man's portrait has hung for years outside the chambers of the Chief Justice on Massachusetts High Court. The problem is nobody knows who he is.
Oh, no.
It's a mystery that stumped officials at the Supreme Judicial Court in Massachusetts for more than 10 years. Now they're turning to the public for help in cracking the case of the unknown justice.
How old is he? Or was he?
It's an old painting.
The painting's from...
it's a painting. It's not even a photo? How's anybody going to know who he is?
It's a painting, yeah. In fact, officials say they believe the man may have sat on the bench sometime between 1780 and 1820.
Oh, that's Earl. I remember him.
That's Earl.
Yeah.
Chief Justice Ralph Gantz said they've essentially ruled out that the man was a Chief Justice, but they say he must have been an Associate Justice because they can't imagine why else his portrait would be in the court, which traces its roots back to 1692. They say they don't even know who the artist is either. The High Court says the person that comes forward with any reliable authentication of the portrait will be invited to the court to stand with the Chief Justice as he unveils a plaque bearing the mystery justice's name. They'll also get a guided tour of the John Adams Courthouse.
Wasn't there an artist named Grandma Whistler? Who am I thinking of?
Wasn't Whistler's grandma a painting?
Oh, maybe that's it.
Well, so this guy was the original photo bomber.
Yeah.
Whose grandma was it?
Whistler. I can't find the. Here, I found it.
Glad I came back today.
Murphy is doing the ride tonight in place of Patrick, who is flying to his estate in Florida. What do you have coming up?
I believe. I got Phil Miller will be on about 4:15. We'll talk a little Twins, get an update on Irvin Santana. It's the ace is now not going to be ready for spring training.
The surgery's been done, though, right?
Surgery's been done. They're downplaying it as any kind of issue, but anytime your ace has surgery on his pitching hand and their depth is already in question, that's not a good way to start spring training.
Yeah, he was your starting pitcher for the opening day.
Yeah, and in the wild card playoff game, and he got dusted up. He blew a 3-0 lead. So questions there. And it's been a busy day in the NBA trade line. We'll get into some of that. The Vikings are waiting to talk to Philadelphia's quarterbacks coach to maybe get as their offensive coordinator. And the Eagles celebrated their Super Bowl championship with a parade down Broad Street.
1500 ESPN is KSTP, St. Paul, Minneapolis, it's 16 degrees. The ride is coming up next.